we are going to continue production of Spelljammer combat and exploration content. We're making maps for the added content for Ladder Zaraxis. Give me a second here to check my signal, see if we are running clean. We'll see if we are. Sounds pretty clean to me. Let me go ahead and kick it out on Twitter that I'm live. If you follow me on Twitter, I've just posted that I'm live. So if you want to find out if I'm live in the future, best thing for you to do, you can of course follow me on Twitter, but the best way is to click like and subscribe and the bell to keep updated about when I'm live. I stream almost every day. Who am I? I am Phil. Hi. I'm Phil Kearney. I create PDF documents for 5e RPG. I publish them on the DMsGuild. There is a link down below in the description to a link to a bundle of DMsGuild books that I have created previously. You can click on any one of them, and if you either click on the I if you are on mobile, or the full preview underneath the product page, underneath the book cover image on each individual product page. Click on those and you'll be able to look at a full preview, cover to cover, 100%. Read the entire thing if you want. If you find that you like the content, or if you find that you come and visit it more than once after becoming aware of it, probably means that you like it. Consider purchasing some of it to support me producing more of it. All the artwork in there. Between those 6 books, there's probably about 100 some odd illustrations that I've created. As well as all of the developmental work, layout, all the text, the production of it all, that's all me. So that's the kind of stuff that I do. So like, subscribe, and let's dive into this. Today, here's the book cover we created for Spelljammer Combat and Exploration. This will be publishing on DMsGuild as soon as it's done. We got our first draft edits finished, and now there's a few revisions that we have to make with the content for us to lock down the finalized manuscript for the document. Once that is resolved, I reckon probably I'll be done with the revisions this week, and depending on how fast the second, like maybe it's 113 page documents, and there's maybe like maybe about 8 or 9 pages worth of just like revisions here and there throughout the document that we need to fix. And once we do so, we'll be able to drop this into Word document, MS Word. I use MS Word to do my page layouts, so you'll be able to see how that process goes along. We'll build the page dress. All of the filigree in the borders of the documents. We'll clean up all of the text, and then we'll start inserting illustrations into the pocket spaces of the document throughout the 113. Maybe it'll be at the end of this, like maybe it'll be 125 pages. Basically, that's how many pages it took. Well, actually, it probably only took about. Here, I'm going to get this out of the way and start talking, because we are working on the. This is an asteroid dungeon map at the 500 foot scale, and what happens in, I've talked about this. If you check the Spelljammer playlist on my channel, you'll see this is episode 62. So we've been talking about upscaling mechanics and how ships operate basically as flying creatures at a larger scale than a 5 foot, but otherwise it's kind of like a pixie flying around a dungeon at the 5 foot scale. That tiny creature is only filling a portion of that square, but at that 5 foot scale, its icon is basically filling the square. So it's just a mechanical limitation of a grid system with creatures that aren't exactly 5 feet in size. So we can extend that same grace to ships that are 5 feet or up to 50 feet or even up to 500 feet in scale, and planets and stuff that are even larger scale as we go. So each one of these squares is 500 feet. This is the Night Spider ambush encounter. I think it's around chapter 4. Maybe it's 3. It's towards the beginning. It's before the characters get to the Rock of Brawl. From leaving the planet, getting past the Star Moth, there's the spoiler alert for people out there. There is a derelict that the team can explore and then when they get away from the derelict, they're ambushed by a Night Spider ship, and eventually other ships show up to help out. So we rebuilt this so that you can actually engage in combat through an asteroid field while you're trying to get out of the asteroid. So this is what this dungeon is depicting. Hold on real quick. Grid thing. Let's duplicate this layer and then merge it down. We're just gonna do some work. So give me a DCs. The way this is working is that this is an asteroid field. It's enclosed above and below. So these are the passages that the character's ship can go through to try to find their way out. And you know, metagamingly, you know that you're basically starting up here, and once you go up here, you're gonna recognize pretty quickly that this is the only way to go. Each one of these numbers is a pilot check DC that the pilot of your ship has to make to be able to weave through these narrow points to be able to continue further through the asteroid field environments. If they fail, they take damage from collision with asteroids, potentially scuttling their deck, losing focus, and causing the ship to have shields go down and the pilot not to be able to resume control until they spend the action during their next turn to re-engage the drive and get back in gear, as it were. So that gives the Night Spider a chance to catch up. And in addition to that, the Night Spider is using a number of spiderling fighter ships. They've got 2 squadrons of fighter ships that are basically 30 feet in size. So these are 500-foot squares. Those little spiderlings can easily weave through any of these asteroid fields. It counts as difficult terrain for them to move through a drift of asteroids, but otherwise they're able to freely move through in and out of this environment. But they're only fighter craft, so they're like 30 feet in size. So they have minor helms as opposed to major helms, so they don't have the long distance ability that a normal vessel would have, like the ship the characters are using or the Night Spider has. They're dependent on their Night Spider to be a carrier ship to take them long distances, but they can deploy in small scale combat when they're engaging ships at the 1 mile, 10 mile, 500, 50, or 5 foot scale. The Night Spider can just basically deploy a bunch of ships that can then swarm after yours, land on deck, start stabbing holes through it with spider legs that act as piercing rams, and yada yada yada. We've talked about this before, so you're welcome to check out the previous sessions to see how all this stuff is, shaping up. But they have to navigate as they go further and further through here. The DC gets higher and higher, the more and more likely they are to take damage. Slow them down, allow the enemy ships to catch up. Once they get off of this map, the other ships, spoilers, the other ships that they can run across, that's when they start to show up. And if your team had their asses kicked, they can be like, oh, we're out. And then so the ships that show up help chase off the Theurgy, and the characters can travel on to Rock of Brawl. But if they're doing well, they could decide that they want to just turn around and take the ships that showed up with them, form a squadron of ships themselves, and then jump back into this and try to tear open the Theurgy. They might be able to get the Night Spider, but they're not going to be able to get the spiderling fighter craft. And of course, the fighter craft can just land on any of these asteroids or drop down to different levels that the characters don't have access to because of the size of the ship that they have. But the Theurgy are down, but not gone forever. So there's potential follow-up adventure stuff there for characters to have if they want to continue on. A lot of fun stuff there. So those DCs, I'm going to make those disappear. And we're going to just, keep on keeping on, getting the job done. So I'm going to, this is the black and white version. We've got the colorized from the Omama hunt that we did at the 50-foot scale. So this is going to be the end result of the asteroids that we have. Like this, we'll have this map be similar. So we're currently going through the black and white process, and then we'll colorize it. So I had already worked on this in previous sessions, but it felt too corridor-ish. So I wanted to make some drifts of asteroids instead. Just have a little bit more of an organic feel while still retaining the boxed-in effect of a 20 by 30 grid space that can fit on like a Chessex 28 by 32, 28 by 36, or can easily fit into a VTT environment. So we just had to rewind a bit and redo to approach it from what I feel is a more aesthetically pleasing look about the asteroids. So this is where we're at. This is what we're doing. This is where we're going. I'm going to make a space like that. And why aren't you doing what I want you to do? Oh, because derp. Because derp. So we'll see how far we get into this today. Anywhere that there is exposed face on an asteroid, it is a highlight spot that then trails off as its own shape gets concealed by a neighboring asteroid. Dun, dun, dun. Dun, dun, dun. I have no idea what's on my mind tonight. I got about, 8 o'clock? I got about an hour that I have to work on this tonight. And then I've got production stuff to work on elsewhere. So I'll enjoy my time here online while I can and just do the doodles. And we'll just, do what we can while we can. But man, I am the second pass that we're done after the initial edits has proven very productive for us. Hey, Hernetica, it's nice to see you, my dude. Very productive. We were able to restructure the order of information as it flows through, so it has a more logical progression. We are able to resolve a number of inconsistencies, like there was not inconsistencies, how to put it, just gaps. There's just information gaps that we were able to resolve, and that was fantastic. So we'll be able to keep on keeping on. I think I'm going to close this up a bit like that. Do like that. But yeah, everything's getting, all the language is locked down pretty strong. The second pass allowed us to really flesh out a lot of assumption. Like when you're building something, you become so infinite with the information that you start to make knowledge-based inferences, like specifically spelling out specific sequences of events and stuff. You have to kind of have a real impartial perspective on, like, does this make sense? How much information am I retaining because I wrote the thing, and I just intuitively grok, as opposed to how is this actually going to be received by people? And so being able to step away from yourself and look at something honestly as, how much sense does this sentence make, or this paragraph? And when editing's done, it's written correctly, which can sometimes reveal unintended language interactions. Like we have fighter craft, for instance, that don't get larger than 50 feet, anywhere from 10 to 50 feet. Then you got vessels that are like anywhere from 50 to 100 feet, or typically like 100 to 250 feet in length. And so you've got siege scale weaponry that are on these vessels, and while some of the larger crafts can accommodate a siege weapon. Most of them, for the most part, have mounted weapons, which is like in Descent into Avernus, the Infernal War Machines have mounted weapons that aren't large enough to be siege weapons, but are too big and bulky for medium or potentially even large size characters just to carry around as just weapons. You know, so these become mounted weapons. They aren't large enough to deal siege damage. They're too small to deal siege damage, but they're too large just to be carried around. So you have to mount them to a siege or like a craft or a vehicle of some sort. In this case, it's fighter craft that we're mounting them to. So you've got siege weapons, mounted weapons, and personal weapons. And we didn't do a good job initially of separating out the mechanics between siege and mounted weapons. What we found was like there was a lot of inference about, well, if siege weapons work this way, so too do mounted weapons. But there was nothing anywhere hardly that actually spelled out how that works. And I'm finding that is incredibly useful to do as we proceed through the document. So that's an instance of, you know, why we would need to go back and work on things. And like there was another thing about like when you run into wild storms that are in space or in the astral sea. We initially had language that, you know, if you notice it before, because you're flying so fast that if it's a small like if you're flying like say 10,000 miles every 6 seconds, if a storm is 100,000 miles in size and you look away for a moment, you could find yourself in the middle of it before you even have a chance to react. That's kind of a passive and a pilot check sort of thing that we're doing, and so. But if you are able to notice it, and you could choose to go around it, you know, find your way around the storm. So we had initially had language that you would be at least partially affected by the storm, even if you noticed it while circumventing it. But then there was the realization that, well, I mean, if they see it coming, they can give it a very wide berth. That means that they wouldn't actually ever be affected by the storm. And so we had to, I mean, that's just logical. So once the logic gets set in, then you have to adjust the text to coincide with the revelation is. So that's the kind of stuff that I'm talking about. Ramble, ramble, thunderclatter, boom, boom, boom. But like I said, it's just a better product. It's whenever you're reading through, like after you get it back from your editor and you just read through it, the best question you could possibly ask is, you know, with each statement, is like, what in the document prior to now has informed the reader about the information we're talking about? Like if I'm talking about siege weaponry, I can't be talking about siege weaponry until I talk about it. Like if I'm on page 2 and I'm talking about how much damage a ballista does, but I haven't actually laid out what siege damage is throughout the document before that page is kind of out of place, or the statement is talking about more than it should. So as you're reading through it, my advice is post edits as a developer and writer, look at what the edits cause the language to say, and just keep asking yourself, is this information all just a basic rule that players already know because they play D&D? Or is this new information? And if it is, has it been properly set up? Or is this the first time you're encountering this new information? And if it is, are you providing a thorough explanation of what these things are? Or is more details provided later on in the document? And if it is provided later in the document, can that be consolidated into the current location where you're discussing the topic? Or does it truly need to be broken up into separate sections that can then be referred to, see further below, siege weapons, that sort of thing? I mean, I'm kind of, this sounds like super basic, but that's the level of basic, how to say it? You have to break it down that much because people are going to see this for the very first time and they have no idea what they're getting into. So if you continue to build a strong logic path for them as they move through the document, like, oh yeah, you answered that question, you answered that question, you answered that question, you answered that question. And after 120 pages, you get to the point where, Jesus, they've covered everything. And that's when you get into, here's how you use all this stuff if you want to play Light of Zaraxis. And hopefully that's something that's enough for people to say, God damn, the value is here. I'm going to buy it. So that's what we're doing with this book. And this is kind of a proof of concept, so that when we follow up and continue with the In Command of Squads and Armies, we can use this same format of creating new information and then providing practical application in a case study using for the Squads and Armies, the Dragonlance campaign and the Dragonlance board game, translating those into the mass combat mechanics that we've been playtesting, and just do it again. Hopefully anybody that bumps into this thing is going to be like, this is worth buying, because of just for the visibility, the scaling movement mechanics, and the fluidness of the action economy that characters can use. Like, what I love the most about this is you can use it for, like, if you use it for nothing other than the mapping, you can use somebody else's combat system. You can use like Jorpthans or Wildjammer or whatever else is out there. Whatever dozen variant rules that we've ran across for combat thus far. You can use any of those that you want. They're all totally relevant. But this product is still really the only thing I've seen out there anywhere that really talks about how do you scale D&D from 5 feet to 5 billion miles. And we build it smoothly. So for that alone is worth looking into. And if you dig it, with all the token assets and stuff that we're building into it, hopefully, like I said, hopefully folks, they bump into it, they're like, wow, this is killer, and it's a success. So all I want to do is I just want to build more of these things, and I want to use these tools to reimagine all the adventures that Wizards of the Coast has put out since the creation of 5e, so that we can redefine character interaction and what's the word? The word I'm looking for equals agency. Giving the characters agency inside the campaign, and instead of assuming that you have to follow the rails that the adventure hands to you, as like this is the way we expect you to run this adventure. It's like, well, I really don't want to run the adventure that way. I want my characters to kick the fuck out of the campaign and ask for more. So I think these tools that we're building help create that conversation point. So again, I do this every day. The Eberron adventure, the martial power system that we're developing. It's all built to create more character and DM options to be able to run a game that just kind of lifts the lid off of the blinders that WotC is built inside of 5e to simplify the system. Like, after you play 5e for a little while, you don't need a simple system. It's a great intro into the game. 5e is a great intro for somebody that's never played a TTRPG before, but it doesn't take very long to be playing 5e for you to start wanting to, homebrew your own crap. Like, I see what this thing can do, but I want to go deeper. I want more mechanical detail, or I want more character options, or I want a broader narrative option. And that's what we're hoping to provide for people. So, like, subscribe, click the bell. Be welcome to follow me on Twitter. All the things. All the things we're doing. But I think that's enough advertising, hopefully, for now. I had originally had all these asteroids arranged in a different way, and when I shook up their positions on everything, I have to now reimagine the highlights on each rock. The way that I illustrate these is that wherever there's an open path that ships could drive by, they would have the light of their ship lighting up the asteroid. So the lighting on each asteroid is always facing where the characters can be at. And if you're using a virtual tabletop like Roll20, we'll be able to build in walls and stuff so that while your character's flying through there, you might be able to see through cracks and see that there's like an asteroid way over here because the light source won't block it, depending on how good of a mesh we can build for it. And that's going to be a fun challenge that I'm getting used to light meshes inside of the VTT, and now that they're kind of partnered up now with OBS, I have the opportunity to market this project directly on Roll20 as well as on DMsGuild for added value. So I want to make sure I do it right. So that'll take a little while, but like I said, I'd rather do it right than fast. That's how you become an expert designer instead of just a home brewer with maybe a lucky idea here and there. It's that thoroughness that takes so much time. Like I can see people kicking out content. I'm not going to name names or anything, that'd be rude. But I can see from now and again different creators that kick out content at breakneck speed just so they're first to the market with a Dragonlance project, for instance, and there's massive logic holes in it, and that just kind of undermines the integrity of the rest of us that are trying to produce content. And so I try to raise the bar by making sure when I put something out there it is thorough, and if there are any difficulties, they're easy to resolve because I did my work. You put in the effort, and if you have to make a change, then hopefully the document is self-reinforcing enough that if you need to make an update or fix something, that the rest of the document will stream through with whatever those changes are. So, which is why you have to sweep so often in the initial manuscript and post edits, just to make sure that everything is checking out. It's a process. It is a process. The Martial Powers is just about like how to do. I started the Martial Powers project, and then once I realized this thing has some traction, and I started fleshing out some details, I paused it, built the channel, started the stream, and then continued. So if you check out the Martial Powers stream that I have in my channel, you'll see what is like up to 40 some odd episodes now. But we've built a huge chunk of that project directly online, and that can be pretty boring content, especially like when I spent 3 hours on stream, different sessions, trying to hash out 5-color mana language, and it was brutal because I realized how far I was overreaching with the mechanic when I was developing it for martial characters, and it just did not pan out. So that's questionable content, but I left it in place because it's referenceable as an example of just how often do you just have to leave shit on the floor and walk away from it. It's no good. And that's a severe risk. Even if you love something, it might not mechanically make sense to use it, so you got to kill it. They call it killing your darlings, and that's brutal. I've had to do that more than a few times, but that's what makes you strong. And if you keep doing it, you learn to love not the what is going on with this. Hold on. You have these weird little pocks that I'm just now starting to notice of wrong color. This asteroid is very thick. I'm doing my damnedest to not mouth breathe. I was talking a couple weeks ago, I think it was on the Eberron stream, about my New Year's resolution to start building a regimen for myself to exercise every day and to get back into intermittent fasting to get my weight back down and just improve my overall health. And I tell you, so the way that I do that is I set a goal for myself, and I set the start date to achieve that goal like 6 months out in advance. So like my current directive is by July 6th, I will start doing gym stuff 4 days a week for at least an hour, and not eating till 2 o'clock every day. But then either have one meal a day, and then weekends or skip days, so I can I can continue my Sunday brunch at 11:30 or whatever. But for the rest of the week, I don't eat until 2. And so after making that declaration, I know that the YouTube algorithms are built to curve into whatever I'm taking an interest in by getting more and more content talking to me about the timing of day of eating stuff, the kind of exercises that you want to do. It's been very generous in providing me with incredibly relevant content that I need to actually be able to fire up and achieve that resolution that I made. So I think by the time I'm already down low doing calisthenics, and I've already started OMADing 1 meal a day. Just spotty. So I'm now dipping into the 2 teens now. I was down to 195 before the pandemic, and then I got up to 240, and now I'm back down to 219. So the stuff that's feeding into me is already getting me back into the mindset of being healthy. And I don't have the ability to stand because my vision doesn't work well with the stand stations that computers have. So I have to actually be very diligent in becoming healthy, because I know that sitting destroys muscle mass because of all the things I've been watching. And so that's a high alert issue that I'm going to have to stay aware of as I age, because my vision's so bad. It's just the technology, just the way that standing desk stations are built. They just kind of assume that you can see more than 7 inches in front of your face, which I just can't. So people with disabilities have all sorts of weird little nuances that kind of set them up to die faster than the rest of everyone. But we're genetically flawed, so that's just nature's way of saying, burn your candle at both ends, son, because you're going to have a limited game. And I'm okay with that. I'm not happy with it. I'm okay with it. I get it. I don't get to be as awesome as I am without having some massive character flaws to help balance out the stat block. And if that means I have to check out earlier because of walking into traffic, or heart disease because I wasn't able to take care of my body the way that nature wants me to, then that's the price of admission, I guess. That's super ramble mode we got going on here today, folks. I hope you enjoy me rambling on and singing my song. Because I'm going around the world, I'm going to find my girl. I'm on my way. And I've been this way 40-some odd years to the day. I'm going to ramble on. Find the queen of all my dreams. I ain't telling no lie. I've got to ramble. Boom, boom, boom. Boom, 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 boom. I do enjoy doing this stuff a lot. Another interesting mechanical point about Spelljammer and those ships being able to move so fast. We were able to provide more sensible rules about being able to escape the gravity of a planet or a moon. But then that spurred conversation about, well, what if you don't leave the atmosphere and you've got a Spelljammer ship that you're flying around, you know, within the atmosphere gravity field of, say, Tauril. That spurred the conversation about again, visibility. Like Waterdeep, for instance, occupies a 3-mile area, right? So if your ship is moving 100 miles per round at the rate of 10 miles per square, if that's the maximum speed you can move and have an opportunity to actually respond to the fact, oh, there's Waterdeep. Because you can only see so far away in atmosphere, and that's going to be typically about 100 miles out. You're going to be able to see actually Waterdeep. There it is, because there's going to be too much atmospheric disturbance otherwise for you to pick up on it. So if you're moving more than 100 miles per round, you're going to end up shooting right past it. You're going to have to use your passive perception check to see if you even noticed the thing, as you just literally just shot by at 1,000 miles per hour, for instance. So depending on the scale of your destination within the atmosphere of a planet, that's going to set your that's going to hard cap the speed that you can actually traverse that atmosphere terrain. It's not that a Spelljammer ship can't achieve massive speeds while inside of atmosphere. It's just that if Tauril is only 8,000 miles in diameter and a spelljamming vessel can fly 10,000 miles in 6 seconds, in one round you've entered, crossed, and exited the other side of Tauril's atmosphere. You're too freaking fast. You can't actually engage with the object. You keep skipping off of it, per se. In a word, I guess. I'm not sure what the right idiom there is, or expression. But it's like, if you're moving too fast, you aren't even engaging with the planet. You're just passing right by it. You just shot right by. So you have to slow your ship down to a point where you can actually engage the environment where you're in. If you're trying to find a particular house, and that house is under 50 feet in scale, you can't move more than a mile per round. Otherwise, you're going to shoot past it. You can't see it. So you can get like it's in the Waterdeep region. So you can fly at, say, 500 miles per hour until you get within reach of it. Then you got to slow down to around 100 miles per minute so that you can see Waterdeep coming up. And then once you see Waterdeep coming up, you have to slow down again to, like, say, 500 feet per round so that you can keep an eye out for the house that you're freaking looking for. And, oh, there it is. And then you just drift to a stop and hover over the house. It's like, hey, drop down a rope. We're here for dinner. There we go. And you just park your ship and you go have some food. But if you're flying too fast, you just miss it. These are like super gritty mechanical details. But what's the first thing characters want to do when they get a spaceship? They want to take it and shoot the shit out of a red dragon's lair, for instance. It's like, well, how big is the entrance to that dragon's lair? Well, it's probably 20 feet wide. How slow do you have to move to be able to get eyes on a 20-foot wide hole in the side of a mountain? Well, that mountain might be 100 miles in size, so that's great. As long as you're moving at 1,000 miles per round, you have an opportunity to potentially not shoot past that mountain because again, the planet's only 8,000 miles in diameter, so it only has about 24,000 miles circumference. It's only going to take you about, 3 minutes to cross the globe at that kind of a speed, assuming you maintain your gravity anchored to the curvature of the planet. So that mountain's going to come up fast, and once you get there, you have to really slow down so that you have an opportunity to catch sight of where is that hole. And at that point, chances are the dragon already knows you're there, and it's going to be able to, if it's a tough dragon, it's going to be at the same scale as your ship. Now you're in for a hell of a fight. And some of these dragons can fly as fast as you in space. So it's not like you can piss it off and just run away and try again. He's chasing you down. And that's a problem you're going to have to freaking deal with. So, like, these are like super nitpicky mechanical details that if you don't take the time to flesh out, you're leaving it on the DM. And the DM's like, boy, I don't even have enough rulings. I don't have enough rules here to make a ruling. They say rulings, not rules, but there has to be enough rules to make rulings with. So that's what we're providing in this thing. All these kind of little details and ideas and little caveats. And we're building a logical progression to be able to move through all that stuff. So if you go from the front of the book to the back of the book, you're going to be like, let's do a Space Pirate campaign. We're ready for it. And I am so looking forward to that for you guys. God, I'm so looking forward to that. I'm really tempted to start sidelining Spelljammer projects while I'm working on the other books that I have in, like doing like a once a week thing for like for example the living ship sidekick that I want to do. I want to build asteroid cluster cities to take advantage of the planar gravity stuff that we talk about in the book. Like just cool little shit like that, just like little fun little pieces that we can pull together and just flesh it out. You know, it's just. But there's so many things I want to do that 5e has introduced as like offhand comments and just little quippy things that could like really become important. You can really build something with. And it's just, I only have so much manpower a day. It's infuriating. It is infuriating how slow I have to move through all these products. But God, when they're done, I'll probably have another 20 that I want to build. I'm hoping once I get all these flagships built that I'm going to be content and rest and start working on small little tear out projects just to start tying all these things together. So we'll see. We'll see. Well, I'm really interested to see what Planescape offers to us, because I want to do like Modron stuff, Blood War stuff. I want to do like Reign of Heaven, mass combat for attacking the Blood War, or like climbing the World Tree through Isgard into. It's not Hades. Is it Hades? Is that what ties in with Norse mythology? I don't know my Norse enough to know which of the lower planes. Maybe it's Tartarus. I'm not positive, but like Tartarus is a great example of something you can do insane scaling with. Not to mention the space opera Eberron campaign setting, where all the nations of Corvair are independent space-born nations, and I want to do Theros. I want to do a plane shift omnibus of connecting the different worlds together, depending on what IPs we eventually get access to from WotC, and if they won't, then I'll just put it out there myself on my Patreon. What are you saying here? I've been fighting with some custom art for an arcade fight stick today. Huh? Hold on. Let me see what that says. I've been fighting with some custom art for an arcade fight stick today, and I think I've got it where I want it. Really? I've been fighting. Oh, I see what you're saying. You've got an arcade. You got an arcade controller for your home, and you're creating alternate art to put on the deck. Is that what you're talking about? Because that shit's cool. Tartarus is part of Greek with thank you. Hell, single L. Maybe it's Hades then. I know there's thanks for the clarification. I know that one of the lower planes in the Great Wheel connects specifically for Norse mythology. I just don't know it. Just don't know it. Don't know. Right, that little patch. Sliver. Don't I have a timer going? No. God, I don't have a timer going? Crap. Well, let's give ourselves 40 minutes. God, I love doing this stuff. It's so satisfying. Yeah, well, yeah. I mean, Isgard is the upper plane, but there's a lower plane. I know this. I used to know the name, and my addle brain has forgotten it. Doing this stuff so much, so satisfying. Just the work itself is just so immensely satisfying. I hope exercise becomes this satisfying just to sweat through, just to make my muscles scream. I hope I just enjoy it without worrying about an end result, because God, what a blessing that would be. Beep, 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 beep. Looking pretty good. Just like that. Clean this up. Yeah, coming along pretty nicely. Boom, 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 boom. I spy mine, more text. Yeah, the difference between colors and contrast was a lifesaver for figuring out what I should be doing with the canvas. Was I right? It's for a deck, like a game console. Nice. Yeah. I love that. That's awesome. You doing some Smash Brothers, or is there a different? Yeah, you have a different type of poison that you like. I'm a big Killer Instinct fan. Just the first one. The second one wasn't nearly as good. I think they try to over fancy it. There's no way in. There's some. Not in the line. I don't think I can get deeper than that. I think that's about right. Black and white certainly is easier than color, I'll give you that. Says the guy that sees no color. No, I can't. I don't have angle on that. That's actually actually not true. Like that. Yeah, I think this is. Yeah, that's where it's supposed to be. Guilty Gear and Blaze Blue Armor Jam, right? I'm not familiar with one of those games. Though I've been told I'd enjoy Marvel vs. Capcom. I like Marvel. It's just basically Street Fighter. On past experience, I've never played that series. Yeah, it's very similar to It's very, very similar to Street Fighter. I had the opportunity to play Injustice, whatever the DC fighting game. It's as awkward as I expect DC to be on almost all fronts. It's not a very smashing buttons on that game is pointless. It is not it is a pure technique game, and that just smacks of DC snobbery, honestly. So I am not a fan of it. Injustice, yeah, that's the one. Not a fan. It's cool, it's gorgeous, but like Dead or Alive, for instance. Dead or Alive is a pretty freaking cool game. It's got great mechanics. It's really good about sequencing combos, and you don't get overcommitted a lot, so it has a lot of twitch reflex. It's a good game. But I can just mash buttons on it. It is a system mastery game that just allows you to just blindly smash buttons, and you can actually do okay. Like, having that level of mastery gives you an edge, but it's not required. Injustice requires intimate knowledge of how to play that game, and it just casual play. It's unfriendly. Anyway, end rant. DC fails again, in my opinion. I think we're good. All right, so we're gonna have that as a thing. This is the color that we originally had. These are the original shapes. But now we're into this. So that really sucks. That really, really sucks. I will be having to scrap a lot of that. Fuck. I can keep the borders. Well, you know what they say, when the morning light comes streaming in, we'll get up and do it again. God, I think I can just scrap like shitloads of this. I'm just gonna trash. I'm just gonna throw all this shit in the dumpster. Screw you, Oofus. Like, just down the line. Get out of my life. Out of my life. Out of my life. Out of my life. Whoa, 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 what? Yeah, that's supposed to be there. Okay. Jump. Chickaboo. Chickaboo. I'm gonna put the lock on you. Show me. Grid, color grid. Grid goes down. Black and white. Color grid. Labels. Oh, where'd I go? Hi. Color grid. DC's color grid get locked. B-dub got locked. I can conceal B-dub. Oy fucking vey. All right, so let's make a duplicate of this. Da duplicado. Maybe like do a fade like that, and we're just gonna have to tear my heart and soul out here. Ugh, I hate seeing things not used. Let's keep enough? I think that's enough. Yeah, that'll work. Trash. Get out of here, scallywags. And toss all that trash into the trash. You're all trash. Trash. Hey there, buddy. 20 minutes to go, yo. What else you got? technical games like that tend to draw in certain types of, yes, and they're all, yeah, very try hard. Well, that system mastery requires trying hard, so it's kind of baked into the mentality. Whether it's healthy or not to be around them is heavily debatable. I gotta keep fixing that. I think I need to fix my setup to make that work. I'll post my current artwork progress somewhere. Maybe look at my junk on the... Yeah. Absolutely. I'm looking forward to seeing it, man. I love seeing deck builds. That's awesome. Where are you? Mr. Gazpacho. Alright, so we're just... I'm going to continue this thing anew. Wait. Yeah, that's not necessary. All these things that are done, they're done. I don't have to mess with those anymore, regardless of how ragged they look. I can always go back in and just fix it. So right now, we're just doing this. Actually, yeah. Can we be smarter? Let's just do it like that. Like Mr. McDuck would say, work smarter, not harder. Once you get good at working smart, then you can work as hard as you want. You gotta get smart first. Oh, my brain just had a spike go through my head. The deuce? Smarter, not harder. God, I've got a spike going through my head. I have no... Oh my God, where did that come from? Hell yes, dude. Looking forward to it, man. Very much looking forward. How are you so wrong? Oh, that's why. Do-do-do-do. God, there is something moving through me, something fierce. I do not know who you are, but you are welcome here. God of wrath and anger, I bid you welcome. May you travel through me with peace. God, there is something just horrible running through my head. The black and white doesn't have to be exactly like the color. It does need to be approximate, though. Oh, man. I have no idea what's hitting me, but it is fierce. I've got a spike being driven through the left side of my head. And my stomach hurts. So something definitely feels off. I don't know what it is. That's okay. It'll reveal itself to me. But I think I have a new passenger, so that's cool. Can't save now while I can. In case trouble brews. I think I need to do a grid sweep. So a grid sweep is when I start with one row of squares and I just go down the line looking for little imperfections like that thing I just deleted. So I'm going to start my sweep. I've got 10 vessels to finish. I've got 6 craft to finish. I've got 6 fighter craft floor plans or deck plans to build. I have 3 creatures, creature tokens to create. And this is my last map for Xeraxis. And then I have page layout and interior illustrations. for the Spelljammer book. So, and there's 120 pages. Well, it's 100. It's about 110 pages of text. I suspect once the illustrations and diagrams get laid in, I'm going to do diagrams first and see how and see what our text to imagery density is. You count when you're trying to calculate how much page page saturation with visual elements, like you count illustrations, charts, tables, and diagrams. So charts and tables are just, it's just visually organized text, but it's not just a normal flow of text. You know, it's a table. You know what a table is. You know what a chart is. So that's how that stuff gets laid out. Those count as visual elements. The reason you have illustrations is twofold. One is to provide aesthetic information about the content that you are writing text about, whether it's about a setting and you have a picture of a building or like the map of the community. These are visual elements. They're illustrations. So they provide aesthetic information, and they let the eye rest from having to read dense block information from line to line to line to line. A chart and a table use that same line-to-line information, but there's much more white space broken up between the lines. So it is resting time for your eye to be able to continue absorbing information without causing fatigue. These are important things. But each one of those tables and charts count towards your visual elements. And Wizards, if I understand correctly, WotC has about a one visual element every 3 pages for the books that they build. So that means that over the course of 10 pages, if they've got a table and a chart on the page, it's a half page. It's a half page worth of visual elements for every 3 pages of text. So if they've got a chart and a diagram over the course of 10 pages, that eat up a half page, then you only need a half page worth of illustrations in that block. So we can parse out, after we get done with all the charts and the tables and the text is laid out properly. Whoops. Then we get to build diagrams like scaling and like distance and arrows and all that stuff. We get to build out all the diagrams that are needed. And then once the diagrams are built, then we get to see what our actual final ratio is for how many illustrations do we actually need to paint. And that's when we get to figure out what's the style that we're actually going to use in the book. And when we did the Astro Lancers or the Scaver Riding Knights, that was a pretty good illustration, I would say. But I don't know if I want the whole book to have that amount of intensity in the artwork, because that could increase the production time for the book by 2 months, and I don't want to do that. So I'm going to have to take a hard look at what style we're going to use in artwork. And I may save half page, like that Scaver. Here, I'll show you guys if you haven't seen it already. Like and subscribe. I'm showing you art. Astro Lancers, that's what we call it. It's not an accurate title, but it's the one we went with. So like something like this I could use as a section illustration, like a chapter illustration. And like maybe like 4 or 5 major sections, right? You've got equipment, combat, exploration, spellcasting, Appendix 1, Appendix 2, what was it? Equipment, combat, spellcasting, exploration, creatures, Appendix 1, Appendix 2. Appendix 1 being the random system generator, and then Appendix 2, Converting Light as Araxis. So that's 7 sections. You got the book cover, and then we got 7 sections. And those 7 sections, we could potentially have a half-page illustration similar to this for each section header. And then we can go into all the spot art that we have beyond that. Could be much simpler illustrations, more sketch-like perhaps. But all the ship tokens that we're making, when we build our diagrams for inside of the book, I can choose to use either the color ship illustrations of the ship tokens that we create, either black and white or color. And so we'll have to see how all those aesthetics sit together, honestly. We're far enough into the project that we're starting to think about how's this shit gonna all lay out, and that is fantastic news. God, this book is going to just be freaking gorgeous, just a freaking gorgeous book. Perfect. Let's go back to our... I don't know what's hitting me. It's hitting me. God, there's something hitting me. What's my point? 1, 2, 3. Here. Let's keep moving through. I just want to get some rid of. Good. Looking good in the hood. Looking good in the hood. Da-da-da. I see those specks over there. I see them, I should kill them. I shouldn't wait for the pass. I should just grab them when I hit them. That way when I pass over, there's less targets. Smart. Smart, Kearney. Smart, smart. 1, 2, 3, 4. Here we are. Hold on. 9 o'clock. Shit. All right. Create more of a channel here for these things to flow through. Good, very good, very good, very good. Very, 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 very good. One, two, three, four. I know my timer popped for me to go, but I just want to pick out this a little bit longer. You know, because I can. A whole lot more. All right, so let's start talking about tomorrow. I'm happy with the roof that we created for the Crypt and Eberron. I think it's distinct enough that it should read as a rooftop. So that means we're moving on to the crypts. I mean the shrines. And so when we come back in the morning, and it's going to be about 9 hours from now that we're going to be back on stream, we're going to continue working on the Eberron map. We're going to build rooftops for the shrines. And let's see. This is why we do this, baby. Maybe we'll get the basic line art black and white for the shrines done tomorrow, and potentially get maybe 1 or 2 colorized shrine roofs done as well. Which means the only things left are to complete the 2 quagmires and illustrating the sarcophagi lid. There's 11 of those. I don't anticipate them honestly being much more than just scattered crystals and like maybe an emblem or something, like maybe the Carnathi nation symbol underneath it. Something like that. Something, a decal. The way I want to do it is as a decal, have the Carnathi national emblem or whatever it is. That way, and I can lift that off as a separate layer and either replace it with something generic or something different flavored for when I eventually export that map, that cemetery map, to be used for other purposes, like a Halloween scavenger hunt or whatever fate it beholds. It's got more going on to it than just the Eberron adventure. So we'll work on that tomorrow morning. That'll be a maybe 1.5 hour, 2-ish hour stream that we'll do. Wednesday, I have maybe an hour of stream in the morning Wednesday. I've got an early morning task I need to do for job, so it's going to take me out of my workspace here earlier, like a half hour earlier than I normally do. So I might have an hour worth of stream on Wednesday morning. Thursday morning we'll be back, and then we'll be back on Thursday evening. And when we're back on Thursday evening, I suspect we're going to be doing more of this. And then Friday morning stream. And then we'll be back again. Oh yeah, Thursday is going to be Thursday morning and then Thursday night. Right. And then we'll have Friday morning stream. And then we'll do Saturday morning stream. And I suspect we'll be done with our edits for the Spelljammer book, as well as the Eberron Cemetery map by Saturday. So that means next week we'll be dropping underground on the Eberron map into the underground laboratory. And Trikiros had a great had a great dissertation about about interesting maps for D&D, and I was fortunate enough to know about the rule of 3 paths before I created the Eberron adventure, because the 3 paths are evident in a lot of different locations, and I'm looking forward to showing that stuff off next week. And then once we get the second pass edits completed for the Spelljammer book, then we'll be officially into layouts. And so that means that I expect, I could be done with Spelljammer layouts by, depending on how quickly we can get them served back to us. I know Adam's got a lot on his plate already. We could have layouts done at the beginning of March. And if we can have oh my God, can you imagine having the layouts done by the beginning of March? That's amazing. Get that done, and then start building out the diagrams, and finish up all the interior art assets, and have this thing published. By May. I think that's incredibly realistic right now. Super realistic. And I think Eberron is going to be. I think the first editing for Eberron is going to be done by March, and then post cleanup, and then second pass. I suspect that means that I'll be doing layouts for Eberron in April, published by June, and then I'll have the Marshall Powers book going into edits in June, and then hopefully have it handed back to us in March, and then passed back to us in June. And then start doing artwork, layouts, have that published by August. With Marshall Powers off of our plate, Spelljammer done, and Crystals of Mabar done, that means we'll be able to focus on Dragonlance. So Dragonlance was probably going to be our September plus project. We might have a manuscript done for the armies and squads by then as well. So that could all be curving together really, really nicely. But yeah, I'm recognizing things are taking longer than I want them to, and well, longer than my initial time frame had wanted, and that's got to be okay. I mean, it has to be okay because it is what it is. If it was supposed to be something different, then it would have been. That's something everyone can use to help feel a little bit more at ease about what happens in their life, because If life could be easier and better, it would be. And when your life is really tough, you just got to remember that we didn't come here because we're beginners. We're here because we are try-hard masters, and we mash buttons. Nah. We're beyond mashing buttons. We are in the expert levels. Earth ain't easy. It's not like you just think of something and it magically appears. It's like time delay is an issue here. And that's why we're the best. Happy, happy, happy. Everybody is happy. All right, we're going to let that sit as is. Look at that big smile. Yeah. One more thing. One more thing. Uncle, no. One more thing. Just open that channel up a little bit more so it's a little bit more of an obvious path. Which means I gotta grab this real quick. Yeah, a little easier to see that path happen there. You got a path. You start here. You could path this way and then this way and around like this or around like this, or around this way. That's a dead end. Path around this way, down to here, or around like this and like this. You could start here. You could also start here. Thinking maybe start here might be more fun. Anyway, that's our day, dudes. I'm out for the night. I will see you in the morning. And like, subscribe, catch me on Twitter. If you know where I'm at on Discord, give me a shout. I'll be back in less than 9. So, see you then, guys. Laters.